I've decided to review this book. I've decided because this book is very important to me and benefited me with my understanding of the subject. So it's known as the Compendium to Radiation Physics for medical physicists, but it serves equally well for people studying a bachelor's in nuclear physics and those trying to become radiologists. In fact, a little bit too much for them. So this book, as you can see, I've used it quite a lot. It's moved out of its alignment, and the usual preface and foreword. And one of the things I liked about this book was its the general notes section. It tells you about how many problems it offers you and the solutions thereof. And so it's basically a numerical question book. It's an exam-oriented book, and it's divided everything into subsections. So for every single chapter, you'll find all of these subsections. And so chapter after chapter, you'll continue to practice theoretical and numerical problems and gain expertise in an exam-oriented manner. So all the way from chapter 1 to chapter 11. One of the chapters I liked was chapter 11. It really helped me out with my assignments. And in fact, I noticed that some of the assignment questions were taken from this book. And chapter 11 and 14 were my favorites. Not so much this one. But yeah, and why? I mean, well, personal preference. And so that's my rationale for it. And then this is good from a radiopharmaceutical perspective. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I moved from question to question. And one of the things good about this book is that it doesn't give you the answer straight away, but it's usually on the next page. So you could cover that up like this, and then write it down in pencil, and then check the accuracy of your answer and mark yourself. So I never bothered to use pencil in my book because I want it to be new so I can resell it. But I really found the question answer format very useful because I was quite stressed out about the examination and whether I'd pass. So I used this book for exam practice, and in fact there were months when I just stuck to this book. I didn't move to my lecture notes, so I'd glance and skim and scan my lecture notes and then come back to this book to practice, to understand the meaning of different books, to understand the meaning of different terminologies. And there's one of the good things, another positive aspect is this book's ability to provide you proofs on the way to, like proofs like these that clarify the origin of the formulaic substitution. So clarify the origin of the formulaic substitution and provide you time zero periodic analysis of how a formula came into being. So yeah, and then so this is radiopharmaceutical chemistry, transport kinetics, and then it's a question, and down along the line you'll find the answers mentioned here. So all the way to this and this, and going on and on and on. So that's that. I used minimal highlighting. I'm not a fan of highlighting, but these graphs are really useful. Feynman diagram graph explanation for each element, each radionuclide. Very useful indeed, very useful. I mean, to me, this is more useful than a textbook, and almost equally useful to lecture notes, because lecture notes, they skim and scan a little bit, and the lecturers trying their best to put in all the information, but and surely not everyone can read a textbook cover to cover. So this book is the absolute substitute. And when I use the word absolute very carefully, not like the Labour politicians, the useless Labour politicians, but yeah, I use the word absolute very carefully because, It's almost a substitute for the textbook, and yeah, it's great. And yeah, that's us. So that's how things are now. Petrol leader, so yeah, that's how things are. Fundamental physical constants, and yeah, some good websites here. National Nuclear Data Center, Wolfram Math World. I have this one. Nuclear Energy Agency Data Bank, and then Data Fundamental, and then yeah, these are some of the good websites. And then you've got the actual usual bibliography, index, and the end of the book. So for me, I definitely recommend it to students of bachelors in nuclear physics, bachelors in radiation physics, bachelors of radiography, bachelors in radiation physics, and bachelors of physics as well, because even in master's course in physics, you have the option to switch over to radiation physics, and you'll find this book very, very useful for a number of reasons, i.e. number one, exam oriented practice, number two, grasp on the numerical solutions, grasp on the understanding of the rationale of how to answer theoretical questions, and yeah, it's also, apart from the rest, it's a good way, it's a good feel, to be honest, holding this book in your hand. I mean, like all the other Springer books, it gives you a sense of accomplishment to some extent, and it feels that you're reading something meaningful. And the make of the book, the hardcover, gives you a sense of satisfaction, if I may say so. So yeah, all in all, I'd like to give this book 7.5 out of 10 and 3.5 out of 5 for the reasons explained earlier, but nothing's perfect. So we leave, and I wouldn't want to focus on the mistakes, rather only the positives, and there are enough positives to outweigh the probable negatives for you to purchase this book. And when I purchased it, it was round about, I went for the second hand option, but it's almost as good as new, in fact new. And it was round about 30 odd quid from a reputed books website. So yeah, I'd like to go for it. I went for it, and I'm reaping the benefit. I reaped the benefits. Join me in my quest to understand radiation physics, nuclear physics, and build yourself a secure future. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye now.